It still feels like yesterday for some, but it was 5 years ago today that the second largest wildfire in Colorado history started. The East Troublesome fire burned nearly 194,000 acres in Grand and Larimer counties. Investigators determined it was human caused, but the exact cause is still unknown to this day. After a week, the fire exploded in size, burning for about a month and a half before it was finally fully contained. In total, it destroyed 555 structures and 2 people were killed. We're now joined by Senior Meteorologist Chris Bianchi, and we don't think of wildfires this time of year, but it feels like it's happening more often. A Marshall Fire started on December 30th. It's like we're not in the clear this time of year like we once thought.
Exactly right, Alex. It's just the shifting in the climate. It's really affected us the most during the fall season. That's, I think, one of the big takeaways. We talk about this all the time. If you're a longtime Colorado native, you know it used to snow on a regular basis in the month of September, even here in Denver. We, on a long-term average over an inch of snow per year in Denver in the month of September. And the reason I say that, it's not so much the inch or not an inch of snow in September, it's that September is the month that we have seen the most consistent and the most consistent warming for us here in Colorado. That's also chopped down on snow. That means that snow that we usually have as a bit of a protective layer during the fall months, it's just not there. The other thing is, once we start getting into the fall months, we get into late September, we get into October, that's when we start getting a little bit windier for us in Colorado as well. And so that wind plus no snow cover equals this sort of thing.
Yeah, dangerous conditions. So looking at it, and have you guys thought about it, meteorologically, what is the fire season now?
Yeah, so it's a really good question, Alex. So it's kind of twofold, right? The summer wildfire season, we tend to think of that as for the mountains, right? That's what we saw back over the summer. We saw some very large fires. Of course, the Lee fire that sparked, I believe, back in July near Meeker. There is still that summer fire season, which basically comes to an end once we start getting regular snows and it covers up the ground. But in the winter, we can get, of course, the urban wildlife interface fires, like the Marshall Fire, for example. That, unfortunately, is year-round. And the reason being is the winter months are our windiest time of the year for us here in Colorado. That's when you have the biggest clash between the cold off to the north, the warm off to our south. Mother Nature basically equals itself out through wind, right? And so you've got all this air flowing all the time. Summer is our least windy season, but it's also the driest season for us here in Colorado. So point being here, Alex, the way to think of it, summertime, summer season is for the mountains, generally speaking. That's when we tend to see the big fires in the mountains. And in the winter, even spring, even fall months, and the year-round Colorado fire threat, that is for lower elevations, including the Denver metro area.
Yeah, it's good information because there's so many fire mitigation efforts going on all across our state, but it's really something we have to think about now year-round.
We have to think, exactly right. We have to think about fires year-round. And again, for us here in the metro areas, we unfortunately found out the harsh way less than 4 years ago with the Marshall Fire. We can get those fires down here, and they're honestly more common for us in the metro area and the I-25 corridor, those grass fires, those sorts of things. We tend to be more worried about those in November, December, January, February, and March when we don't have snow cover.
And we've seen the type of destruction that can cause.
Of course, unfortunately, yep. And 5 years ago, we found out in the mountains that we can get fires as late as October, which is wild.
Wow, good information. Chris, thank you for that.